Bienvenue dans Bang Bang, le meilleur de l'alternative rock et du métal. Et aujourd'hui, dans cet épisode, eh bien, Ben, nous allons recevoir un groupe extraordinaire, un groupe que j'aime tout particulièrement, qui me parle énormément. C'est le groupe Health qui vont nous parler de leur album qui s'appelle Rat Wars, qui est excellentissime. Hello guys.
Hello.
Bonsoir.
How are you?
We are okay.
Yeah.
We're having a tired day. We're like it's a very long day.
Sorry for my English. It's going to be maybe crap, but I'm going to try. What does it mean to you to be in Paris, and what does this city represent to you, or France in general?
Well, we love Paris. For us, it represents the one place that we know we'll usually always have a good show in France. Mm-hmm. Over the years, we've played here a lot of times, and it really has felt like the only place that's kind of consistently embraced or understood our band has been Paris. But we're hoping that that's been changing because we played some festivals recently and had really good experiences.
So are we crazy in France?
We know a lot of crazy Frenchmen.
Yeah, they work for us.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are crazier than...
We know a lot of crazy people.
Yeah. I mean, in the music industry, there's a lot of crazy people. Like, we know a lot of crazy German people.
It's socially acceptable to be... Can you cuss on this thing?
Can we curse?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, in the music industry, it's totally socially acceptable to be a fucking maniac or just insane or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of tolerance for bullshit. We love Paris.
Yeah, I love Paris.
Food's amazing.
Culturally, it's a very special place.
What a destination.
It's actually unfortunate that we're here so short. We got in at like 10 a.m. and we've just been doing press, and then we have to leave at 6 a.m. to go to London. So it would be lovely to spend some time in this city, actually, especially because we don't have a show and we're seldom ever here and have the opportunity to enjoy doing something else other than just being in a fucking venue all day.
Yeah.
Having you here allowed me to immerse myself in your entire body of work. What a journey and what evolution, what art in never doing the same thing, in taking risks, in doing instead of doubting while keeping your identity. I just wanted to congratulate you for all that and for this latest creation, a true gem for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very sweet.
My first question would be about your feelings. How do you feel now that the album is being released?
Feels good. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know.
It's like you were pregnant and after everything is out.
Yeah, that sounds a little...
I don't know what it's like to be pregnant.
Yeah, sure. Of
course.
I had a kid a couple years ago, and I think that the pregnancy was a lot more intense than the record. But yeah, I think relief is the wrong word because there's not a negative connotation to it. It's just we're kind of in an interesting stage right now where it's just out, and so it's very gratifying that people seem to really be resonating with this record in particular, fans and the critical community. But we haven't gone on tour yet, and tour is when you actually can really gauge,
of course.
how people have ingested the songs and what songs they're really reacting to, and so that'll be interesting to see. We're on tour, but we're on basically a support tour right now.
So it's not really your audience, and you don't have, even if you have a feedback, it's not necessarily the feedback from...
We're playing new songs, but they're all fucking new songs to the fans
to them,
we're playing to, which is great, and we've been having really good shows, but it's not the same. You can't really gauge the reception of the record.
Of course. And maybe, if I may ask, for you, what is some artists prefer to the creation part, and some like more the going on stage and sharing it with people. What is it for you? Do you feel like when creating is over, you're like a bit sad of having to go on tour, or it's like the best part for you starting?
So for me, it's completely flipped. In the beginning of the band, writing records and particularly recording them, like recording technology and just being able to work from home and the power of like home computing and production has just made so many incredible leaps that the barrier to creativity is way lower. Because before you have all these ideas like, oh, what if we could make this really heavy sounding bass line or whatever? And it's like, fuck, we can't do it. And now it's just like, oh yeah, we can totally do that. So there's a lot less holding you back. So it used to be for me, like, the recording process was like eating your vegetables, and then touring was dessert. Travel the world, party, see interesting places, get the energy from the crowd. And now I feel like it sounds really cliche to say it, but it's the total opposite. Like, I get off on the creativity, man. But it's true. Like that, I really like the writing the records, and touring is sort of a little bit more like work. I still like being on stage, but as I said, I also had a kid, so it's like touring is more complicated.
Yeah.
I'm still in our default setting where, work on the record is work and touring is play, and that's when you get off. That's when you get it going. So
I mean, it's a fantastic job.
yes,
Just because we live in LA, we have a lot of friends that are in entertainment fields, and like what you guys are doing, it's like I know a lot of editors, I know a lot of people that work in film and TV production, and it's like, when you release something, if people like it, then immediately all you get to do is just go back to work on something else, and you're like, oh cool, they liked it. We get to go out, and then every audience you play for in every country, in every city, every venue has a different character, and you get to re-interact with the art that you made with this reciprocity that comes from the crowd's energy. And
only music.
Yeah, it's just kind
You
of
can't write a novel and be like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah,
It's like,
rock, let's do a reading right now, fucking Moby Dick, let's go. It's like just not the same thing, So I think that it's like shades of gray. Now I really prefer the writing, but the other part's great too.
Yeah.
Of course. How long did it take to create the new album? 4 years? Is that
No,
right?
No, it was
no.
pretty quick.
What would you say, 1.5?
Yeah, it was the fastest one.
Oh,
For sure.
It's funny because it's 4 years since the previous record.
Yeah.
But there's 2 full collab records.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah,
longer
yeah.
than any of our records. So it's not like we weren't writing music up the yin yang. It just, the pandemic, and we kind of delayed this album. We knew the album was important, and me and Jake definitely had to be in the same room, to do it. So the collabs are fun as fuck, and we could do them remotely. So I was like, let's keep this going.
I think also, there's like, it's not arbitrary because you need the touring cycle, like just from a capitalist standpoint of like being able to live, and but it is sort of counterintuitive that you write all this music and then right at the point where you're most creatively immersed and sort of probably at the highest level of fluidity in terms of being able to think quickly in terms of writing, then that's when you stop and you go on tour. And one thing that the pandemic and doing the collaboration records afforded us is we just kept fucking writing music for like 3 years straight. So now and it's just like anything else, it's like whether or not you like try to stop smoking or go to the gym or eat better or whatever thing, it's like, it's all about consistency and staying in that routine. And so we've just been really trying to stay, like even now, just if we're home, keep writing, because what happens a lot of times with bands is like, even if you don't have a grueling tour schedule, it just takes you out of that. So then you go back into tour mode. So then when you're home, you just sit on your ass and like wait until the whole cycle's done. And we don't want to do that. We'd rather just like keep, because we're going to do another collaboration record. We want another record to come out sooner, not because we're trying to like blitz everything, but just
It's craps. When you're hot, you're shooting hot, keep shooting,
Yeah, it really is true though. I think that like if you feel like you're in a good place writing wise, it's a really bad move to stop because you don't know what it's going to be like when you pick back up.
By the way, the collaborative album, did you thought doing so much, or did it came like you? Because there's 2 records of.
The second one's purely just because of the fucking pandemic.
And we're like,
we can't go back on tour.
So it wasn't really planned.
No.
Okay, that was my
Because
question.
like the title, Disco 4 Part 1.
Yeah.
This is the worst title in the world.
I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun because it's so terrible.
It's funny, like.
I mean, it's relative to what happened.
Yeah,
it's also
definitely.
really weird that it's like the band's called Health, and it's like Disco 4 Part 2, and it's like with 9 Inch Nails. And you're like, what the? And Lamb of God. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, but I don't know. It also was fun. People just really love the collabs. They love it.
Of course.
It was a very serendipitous, lucky. The pandemic for us as a band was very lucky. It was actually like the band grew a lot. Obviously, when you do those kind of collaborative things, like tons of people that don't know your band find out about you.
Yeah.
So it was maybe frustrating not knowing, because obviously there was a snapshot in time, especially if you're the kind of band that plays like 500 to 1,000 cap clubs. You're like, I don't know if this is ever.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna bring back outdoor shows and they're gonna bring back film and TV production, but that's like the most intimate space. So.
It's great though. Heavy metal people don't give a fuck.
That's true.
The second they opened, we played Psycho Vegas. Like no one's gonna go to this thing. No, they don't fucking care.
It's really
awesome.
it is really interesting because it's like kids. So if it's music for young people, they don't give a fuck. They're there. Heavy music people don't give a fuck. And then like all the like smart clown like indie music, like where you like got good grades and shit. Everyone's just like, I think I want to stay home. So,
And then shit cratered.
yeah, so it's just like it was this total we know bands that was their fan base, and it's like that still hasn't come back.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially if you're of a certain age, like as we all know, like live music, a lot of shit, like people age out, they get a real job, they stop being addicted to drugs, they stop going to shows. And I think the pandemic like pushed a lot of people to just
a lot of early retirement from going to gigs.
like we played a show last night, and even this one dude was he was telling us he'll see us at club shows, he'll travel, but he doesn't want to go to festivals because even post-pandemic, he just doesn't want to be around that many people. And it's like, I understand that.
Well, a lot of people develop very bizarre complexes,
Yeah.
That's so strange, yeah. This new album is called Reçoivent, like the 8th song from Slaves of Fear. Is there a connection? Is this album detailed continuation of that previous episode?
No, so basically,
Okay, that's a good answer. We'll stop there.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's been interesting. We've done an immense amount of press, and for whatever reason, the French press is very interested in the name of
You
this
guys are
record.
good. You guys are really.
There's a lot of great attention to
Press is
detail.
very thoughtful. Very thoughtful.
So I'm trying not to be like too shorthanded here. Basically, we really felt that it was important to have a name that was evocative of what the record sounded like, which is sort of like desperate and oppressive and very bleak and dystopian. And
We'd already used that title.
we'd already
before.
used that title, and we were having a conversation. I was just like, dude, do you know what the perfect... We had all these... we're sending each other back and forth, like, what about this? What if we try to call it this? And it's like, it needs to feel like post-apocalyptic. And some of the names were good, but they were like, oh, they're too fun for what the music was. And I was kind of like, you know what? Fucking Rat Wars is what we should have called it. And we were like, well, we can't, though, because we already had a song like that.
That's okay.
And then we realized, A, it's our song, so we do whatever we want. B, most people will not notice.
Nah,
You
I
guys
think- I
did.
think it was the C.
And then C, the biggest one was we're like, the Doors have a song called Waiting for the Sun. It's not on the album Waiting for the Sun.
It came out.
It came out of
two
Morrison Hotel. It's like,
2 albums later.
it's like fuck it. The Doors did it, we'll do it.
It was the Doors.
Yeah, it was the Doors.
We
It was
couldn't.
Morrison.
We would have not done it without the Doors.
like you said,
It's like precedent in the law. You find that one. It's like, there was a case in 1986. And it's like,
like you said, it's extremely dark. It's like a prophecy, isn't it?
I hope not.
I think it's appropriate. I think we've been making this dystopian sci-fi music forever, and it's modern day is getting shittier and cyberpunk by the day, and it's caught up to us.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've been soundtracking this future primitive techno, like
Techno dystopia.
Yeah,
grimdark
techno dystopia,
shithole.
dark
It's catching
shithole. And it's like now we're like we stuck around long enough. It's like, oh, it just happened.
We knew it.
Yeah.
We were there.
We stayed in the game long enough for everything to go to total shit.
Yeah.
we were ahead of our time.
And so now we
it's our
look like
time.
visionaries. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But it's really because we just didn't figure out how to do anything else.
Yeah.
Because when we listen to it, I find it's very mystical, religious, something that connects us to the best things like Earth, what has given to us, while we represent hell, chaos, humans. So, what do you think about this? Am I crazy or am I saying bullshit?
That's beautiful, man.
It's beautiful, and that I would hate us to ruin any. The audience creates half the enjoyment of anything, and we definitely want, if someone feels something and like interprets it, that's the best thing in the world. We'd hate to be like, actually, it's about this time when I stubbed my toe in 2008. Like something like that.
I try not to be too specific about like the lyrical meaning because I feel like the way I write is it's not very shrouded in symbolism and metaphor. It's fairly direct enough to the extent that I would hate to like disabuse anybody of what their take on the record is. I mean, I think it's fairly direct in its themes, I think, and it's not like actually secretly a happy record or a joke or anything like that. I mean, it's like it's not an affectation. It is sad, but there are a lot of layers to that, and what that can mean, and what it means to try to still live an authentic existence, like in the context of dealing with those emotions.
I will talk about more talk about the lyrics after, but I feel like you can put this record on Akira. You know Akira?
IKEA?
Akira.
No.
Oh, Akira.
Oh,
Definitely
Akira.
Akira. Definitely
IKEA,
Akira.
not IKEA.
I mean, Akira, that's Jake. You really got to watch Akira.
I've seen parts of it.
You really got to watch Akira. Like the movie changed my life. But yeah, definitely.
It's
And then
quite the same now.
It's a quite intense movie.
Yeah.
After listening to this afternoon the sound atmospherically, I saw you. I saw it indeed as a cinematic album. You have to listen to it from the beginning to the end, and you have an adventure, something that you can leave. Is there a story?
So we would call it a loose concept album. Lyrically, a lot of our records are dealing with the same themes, but this one is much more personal. From my perspective, it's just kind of what my experience was over the last couple of years. But it's not a concept album in the way that Quadrophenia or Tommy or Lamb Lies Down on Broadway would be or something like that. Looser, more in the sense of like Dark Side of the Moon or something, where it's kind of more in the musical structure and how things like link together, and there's basically like a story and a theme. But it's not like, oh no, this is the part in the screenplay where this character does this kind of thing. But yeah, to answer your question, it was very much, I think more so than any other record we've done, conceived to be an entire cohesive record. So we know that most people don't listen to music like that. Yeah. But that doesn't have to stop us from wanting to make it the way that we want to.
I mean, all our records we really want you to listen to. We put a lot of thought into the sequencing, but this one is, I guess, more like, we let stuff cut off abruptly. Yeah. Just stick tracks together before and streaming, and even from iTunes is a bad idea. And we said, fuck it.
Yeah, we knew. It's like, okay. And we know because we have a very active fan base. They're very internet literate, and they're all on Discord and everything. And like a lot of the super fans that are young, like super fans, they've of their own admission, don't listen to the whole record.
No, they've never listened to it in sequence. And then a song came up, and they're like, this is amazing. What is this? I'm like, motherfucker, it's like the last album.
I think it's also
It's generational.
Yeah,
they
it's generational,
don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
So actually, what inspired this? So like, to just go for it. So there's a Metro Boomin album, and is blowing Zoomers' minds because it's just like brazenly doing these Pink Floyd like crossfades of just song to song, and all these Zoomers like, what the song comes up? What the hell's going on? And like they were going to listen, in a row, and everyone liked it so much. It's like, well, fuck it. If we have a cutoff, and like it's going to draw more people to have to listen to our songs in sequence, and they're doing it, which is great.
I mean, it's also amazing those things that happen where you get younger generations, like because there's all this new metal shit in here. Like, so many young people are discovering industrial music and metal, like they discovered like it's like the Dark Ages, and there's literature again or something,
Yeah.
and so this same kind of thing that John's talking about with we grew up on like AOR, like album oriented, like classic rock. So to us, that's second nature. But if you could pull someone into that world, they're like, oh, it's so cool. The song bleeds into the next one, and then there's a theme from the first song, and it reappears. It's like, is this fucking classic rock, baby?
Well, for me though, I'm just like, how do these kids not hear Dark Side? You
Yeah.
start smoking weed, you can put on Dark Side.
Yeah.
Everyone. I guess not.
I think you still do.
Actually, wait, a lot of these kids don't leave their house.
I think you still, people still listen to Dark Side.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's,
I just figured our fans would have heard Dark Side.
Do you already participate to a film or to do the music of a film?
we would
Movie?
love to do. We did one small indie film, and we've done a lot of composition for video games, which is actually like
It's kind of the new version of
A movie.
and honestly, it's in a lot of ways more relevant. It's especially speaking of younger generations, like that's the long form entertainment that they actually get
It's
involved
actually
in.
better because you can't look at your phone while you fucking play.
Yeah.
So in that respect, we'd actually prefer to do another big game instead of doing a film. We always dreamed of doing
And
a film.
you're a
Like,
character.
We love movies, but when someone's watching a movie, they're doing this. So the game, you're doing this. That's better.
Now it's like, even if you're everyone's streaming whatever show, they're like, oh my God, did you see Succession? I loved it. It's like, yeah, but you're probably on your phone like 80% of the fucking time. And because we all do that. So yeah, like games, it's like the last, it's like gaming and sports.
Well, I guess
are the
reading a
last-
novel, but people aren't doing that.
Man, people haven't been reading a novel
for a minute.
Like I have a literature degree, and even then I was like, people don't even read. I still do, but I mean,
I think an action sci-fi big game or RPG,
Yeah.
but something either action or futuristic. I mean, we'd really love to do it. Clear a schedule for that stuff. Actually, maybe not right now because I think we're kind of on a, as you're saying with Craps, we're kind of on a hot streak. We want to keep it going. But definitely.
I mean, I would love. It would be a dream of mine to score a great film.
Yeah.
But I think that a great game is more meaningful.
I think also if we got a small role in that film, like Anthony Kiedis or Henry Rollins, where you get your ass kicked in the movie too.
Oh,
you
in
get
Point Break.
Or Heat.
But-
Heat, that's the best. That's a dream. Henry Rollins and Heat.
Okay,
but
I'll
what would
write,
the
I'll write
precedent-
a movie for you.
what would the precedent be for that for someone who scored the film?
Okay, you score the movie and have the Henry Rollins role.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah.
about that.
That's the move.
Does anything exist like that?
I would have to look it up.
Probably not.
No. It's not like Trent Reznor.
What
It's
if-
like in the Social Network, like parking a car or some
I would
shit?
demand it. I would demand it. Or if I was the guy who did Oppenheimer, I would just be in some scene where I get like my ass kicked or something. I don't know.
I don't think you can tell Christopher Nolan.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. This is all the theater of the mind. We can do whatever we want.
John Williams is like, all right, Spielberg, I get one full frontal nude scene.
It's like he's just too good. We got to do it.
It's
We gotta
like,
do
we
it.
have to have John Williams. He's like,
Hell,
he's so
Johnny
cool.
Williams wants it. Show me that.
All right.
Can we talk about the guitar in Of All Else? There's a part with the guitar like really slow and it's
Which
like
part?
Oh,
At
yeah, the
end?
ending.
at the end,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
And it's really dark. It's really something special. I thought it was like church things at the beginning. I don't know why.
like a organ
and
or something.
and after I thought about a really dark march, like a military thing, really dark, really something
You mean the one
morbid.
that's
I
like,
don't know.
cling?
Yeah.
I think
Is that something new? Or
I think we want it's the reason we put that in the record was John's idea was that it's completely unlike anything we've ever put in one of our records. So it was just like sort of a way to it's very kind of unnerving sounding and the track that precedes it is extremely experimental. So it's almost kind of perversely avant-garde to put something like just like a clean guitar at the end of it.
Well, not just that. It's influenced by Silent Hill. Those Silent Hill really. The PS1 really bit crushed up front clean guitars, and they do that. They go clung, clung. So it's very much in Silent Hill. That PS1 bit crushed like unsettling sound, and that's a lot of the production do these kind of weird narrative, which is some of like these sort of tones or something like that too.
And you work with the French artist SIERRA. How did you met and how things happen?
Just a huge admirer, and then reached out. Like, we were really inspired by the EBSM, terrible genre name, but Sierra is one of my favorite artists in the zone. And after discovering her, every magazine I've interviewed, I've always been mentioning, and immediately we're like, we gotta get this on the album. We reached out to people to bring these. We decided we're gonna add arpeggiated synths, and we're going through tones. We're like, to fuck this, we're calling pros. So Sierra was definitely one on the top of the list to hit up.
We're really firm believers in the idea of making an album holistically, like just with the only goal being to create the best thing possible and not coming from this sort of precious, I think especially sort of pervasive in indie rock idea of it's this insular thing and you can't let anybody into it. And I think a lot of the great records that are made collaboratively. So when we hear something, if we want to use an arpeggiated synthesizer and someone like Sierra is incredibly talented at that, we'd rather tap that person to see if they're interested in helping us create that sound. And then we can take that and then bring it into our world. And obviously we became very, very comfortable doing this kind of thing after doing those 2 collaboration records. So any barrier that we would have had in the past of like, oh, it might be kind of weird. Should we ask them? We don't give a fuck now.
Yeah, we used to be very, very precious, and now we're pretty hetero-flexible, as you'd say. So we're just kind of open to stuff.
And people are precious, and also I think it's like a social anxiety thing. You think, is it going to be awkward to ask someone? And in the pop world, in the hip-hop world, and then if you look at a lot of classic industrial stuff, like Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, those records are full of guest players.
Yeah.
That's how they made them. There wasn't, because the music is not about chops in industrial music, so there's not the identity of some guys like, well, I need to fucking rip a face melter solo, and that's me. No, that doesn't matter.
And do you feel that when you have an idea that is relative to another artist, like the arpeggiator in this case, don't you feel that bringing the guy or the girl to do it with you makes it more personal than if you try to integrate it by just kind of copying what you heard?
Well, it's also more honest.
Yeah.
Because we're listening to whatever thing and we're really inspired by her music and we want to do something like that. So it's more open to just say like, well, why don't you just do it with us?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a cool thing too. It's like a EBM or EBSM. It's like this kind of, EDM sonics with EBM like update. It's kind of like a parallel thing to like we're doing industrial, this like neo-industrial with these like modern sonics too, where it's something like retro and futuristic at the same time. So just kind of perfect, So like kind of the phone.
There are quite a few emotions mixed in the experience this new album offers. Drugs, for me, love, control. Is this also from your own experiences?
Yes. I don't know how much I want to expound on all of that. There's definitely a lot of personal writing. So yeah, not just drugs, but I think any.
Yeah, when I mean drugs, it means a lot of things, not only drugs like we used to.
But just any compulsive, addictive behavior, I think, is a theme in the record, and that sort of destructive miswiring of evolutionary biology that so many of us have that drive us to process those needs
And like intense music.
in a destructive way.
Because I thought like drugs, like love is drugs.
Yeah.
And maybe
Can
it
be,
can
yeah.
be destructive, but it can be so beautiful at the same time. Like in the album, we can feel all these waves,
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's about, like I said, all kinds of different layers, like literal drugs, repetitive destructive thinking, dissolution of personal relationships, and
Goonin.
it's not a happy record, that's for sure.
For sure. My favorite song, I believe, it's crack metal, so that's why I'm talking about this. It's like very 90s sound. Is that deliberate?
Yes.
To be like
No question.
Nine Inch Nails. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, we're listening to Ministry and Nine Inch Nails. We're listening to Burning Inside. We're listening to Wish. We're also listening to March of the Pigs.
Okay, so
And we're like, you think? Let's do it.
I think there was definitely a moment where we're like, is this too much of an homage to these bands? But the thing is, it's like we've been in that orbit, and we've also, we've had this collaborative relationship with Nine Inch Nails now, and I think it comes back to what we were saying about getting the person to guest on the track like Sierra. It's like, well, we kind of want to, it's almost like that track is deliberately going, hey, we know that this record is indebted to classic industrial music. We're doing our take on it, and here's our little like nod to being inspired by these bands.
Yeah, if you go to the album, there's kind of like, because we really want to send this message like industrial. We still want to make our record, don't be too referential, but there's sort of like a checklist of industrial metal, and we're like, here you go, and we're not being shy about it.
Yeah,
and also there's things about that are very different. We have this bass sounds like that wouldn't be an original, but of course we don't.
Yeah,
come on.
There's songs on there. It's like the like DSM-5 sounds like a Ministry riff.
I'm gonna say anything.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, it's like Rammstein, but to me, everybody always says Rammstein, but to me, Rammstein sounds like Ministry.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course, of
it's
course.
like-
it's younger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, and then
you're right.
Well,
like
obviously we sampled Godflesh.
Godflesh. It's like we just
Very
put it
clear
in. We
there,
just put
you
it
know.
in the album. We're like, fuck it.
Yeah. So it's very clear. It's not.
And that's
Oh,
a-
really? It sounds.
What? No, it's really nice because Nine Inch Nails doesn't do it anymore. So I was so happy, like,
And
oh
also-
yeah, like I'm young again.
I would have been more uncomfortable. Like, there's certain melodic territory I feel like that is so distinctly like trademarked by him.
Yeah, we would feel it's like a ripoff.
Like in terms
No,
of like,
because you have your take on it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, there's like piano
Yeah.
things and there's melodies
course,
that, and you hear it when bands do it sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're just
Very,
like,
very
ooh,
clear,
that's
yeah.
like, that's his thing. And
Yeah.
but the energy level and kind of the structure of it, and like my voice is so I don't scream
Yeah.
ever, so
Yeah, and there's a lot of wacky stuff. Like we like the song.
it's definitely inspired by.
Yeah, clearly.
And when we talk about health, the band, so we think about the dark romanticism. We think about your voice. It's a special voice on this kind of music, like how can I say it? Delicate, maybe, or
Yeah, yeah.
something really
Effeminate.
like we fly, like
Flinty.
yeah. Why?
That's just how my voice works.
It's better for you, or you? It's just
I'm
like
just not
this?
as so the scene we came out of was like this very underground noise scene in Los Angeles, and every band, a lot of the music was heavy, but in a non-traditional sense, very aggressive, very abrasive, and extremely experimental. But in that context, not a lot of melody, and it was a scene that was sort of subverting stereotypes in
Mhm.
even in punk rock, so anything that was like masculine or on the nose was sort of not part of it. And part of how everybody processed that was to do this sort of Devo bark kind of singing, which makes sense because so much of the music didn't have any real melodies. And I just, by default, I don't feel comfortable affecting my voice that way. And I knew I wasn't going to be good at it. And so the way we sort of approached doing things differently was to have this very maybe jarring contrast of very soft, almost like shoegaze vocals on
yeah.
top of it. And I think that that's, as we've gone further down the rabbit hole of exploring adding thrash music, like our thrash guitars or arpeggiators or things that are hallmarks of other genres like industrial music, the one thing that does save us consistently from just being like a recapitulation or a retro version is that none of those records or bands have vocals the way that we do. Because
Also, we don't have any other option. And from the beginning, it just made us different. And like that's just
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I
like,
guess I could have spent like a lot of time trying to figure out how to scream, but it seems more practical to work with what you have, and that's sort of just how my voice works.
And it's like everything we've done, everything so gradually. It's just we just keep rolling, you know.
Oh, that's good.
And how do you compose, by the way? Do you
There's
word
there's
before
no
the lyrics
formula.
or no?
No formula. Like there's Jake demos, there's John demos, there's stuff we come up in the studio, stuff we work with the producer. There really is no
drum beats. There's all
yeah, there's
kinds of-
everything. It's just whatever we have. There's just really no formula. Or there's just like this wacky sound. Well, how do we figure this out? And we wait months and come back to songs, and it's just, you know, for the greater good. I think we all trust each other.
Yeah, try to stack ideas so that we have a lot of things that like we can refer to.
If someone really hates something, you know, you believe them, because I think we trust each other taste wise.
Yeah, and there's definitely will be songs on a record where it's like this is more of a John song or this, but this one felt very
We were on we all had the same mission. We were really on the
Cohesive
same
on
same
this.
page. We're like, I think this album was made. I think it was made for a place of just much more confidence than before. We're like, we really were all like, okay, we know what we need to do. Even though this is really good, we're actually going to toss it because this is not dark enough, or this is not going to go where we need to go. And like we're making this thing, you know, because there's really good songs that we're like didn't put on the record, which is like hard for us, you know.
And you know, you make me cry with this album, so congratulations.
Oh.
That's good.
Because I feel something really, really strong. Is this a therapy for you?
For me specifically, and that's been a question that's come up, is the writing of this record was and the particularly the second collab record and this one. It was very much a therapeutic and cathartic process where I guess the way I would put it would be if I hadn't had that as a way to let out certain emotions, I think that because it ultimately is a constructive, creative process, I think the alternative would have been destructive. So
like I cry and like I feel when I hear the sounds, I feel like when I was young, when I had to do my coming out, and it was so strong, so dark, so everything was totally dark. And today I feel so happy because I did it. It's like in your songs, you know, there's something really rude, and after at the end we feel that we can fly and we can be free. You know what I mean?
well, that's amazing.
That's really
it's,
that's
No,
really
that's
beautiful.
amazing.
Like, I'm
Thank
like,
you.
wow,
That's very
thank you.
meaningful to hear
Yeah, thank you.
that the music could elicit those kind of feelings. So that's the greatest thing that we could strive for as a band, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all music is about emotion on every level, you know.
And you talk a lot about child. You say the word child.
I became a dad,
Yeah,
you know,
so
right
that's why.
in the middle of this. So it was something that was just like on my mind a lot, especially because there's a lot of profundity and a lot of amazing, deep emotions and love to an extent that I had never felt before, but also like an incredible amount of responsibility and fear, but also simultaneously, just with my personality type, when you're going through a very difficult time emotionally and then the world also seems like it's going to total shit and then you're like, oh, I decided to have a kid. And it's like, it's just knowing that they have to go through so much frustration and grief and difficulty that wasn't their choice to come into existence. So I think that was just a very heavy thing for me to try to process.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna just say maybe the end of the interview.
Yeah.
Will you come in France to do a show next year? You will do a Hellfest, I think so.
I don't think we can do Hellfest
I don't think we're eligible.
because we played in 2022. So I think we have to wait till 25.
So you will be playing in Paris.
Definitely,
We're definitely playing in Paris.
no question.
You know when?
No,
It'll be in the fall. It'll be in the fall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're doing a U.S. tour in
We will do
spring.
some summer festivals. I don't know if there are French ones.
Yeah,
so-
and then we'll be back in Europe for Roadburn and then some other festivals in the mid-summer, and then we'll be back again for a headline in the fall.
So thank you for everything. I got a lot of questions, but time is out.
Well, thank you very
So
much.
Thank you so much for coming here and to answer all like this. And thank you so much for the music.
Thank you
for
guys.
this album.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you.